The galaxy had been calm for centuries. Human explorers charted new systems, discovered strange planets, and sometimes encountered species with unusual abilities. Yet, no one had ever heard of the Alpha system. It was tucked away in the darkest corner of the galaxy, beyond the usual trade routes, almost as if it wanted to remain invisible. Commander Elena Rivas sat in the bridge of the Starship Vigilant, her eyes scanning the holographic star map. The sensors had picked up an anomaly, a faint energy signature coming from Alpha 9, a planet previously thought barren. "Captain, the readings are unusual," said Lieutenant Cato, pointing at the flickering lights on the screen. "It's unlike anything in our database. Energy fluctuations almost alive." Elena frowned. "Alive? Explain." "It's subtle, but it feels intelligent, like the planet itself is aware of us." A chill ran down her spine. Humans had explored thousands of worlds, but something about the system felt wrong. The communication logs from nearby satellites were full of static, garbled messages, and one probe had already disappeared without a trace. "Prepare scout team," Elena ordered. "We need to know what we're dealing with before we report to command." The scout shuttle Aurora detached from the Vigilant, its engines humming softly. Inside, Captain Rivas and her small team stared at the empty void ahead. The darkness seemed thicker than space usually was, as if it was swallowing light. "Do you feel that?" whispered Ensign Mara, gripping the console. "It's watching us." "Focus, Mara," Elena said, but even she couldn't shake the feeling. Every time the sensors blinked, a strange energy pulse echoed back, almost like a heartbeat. As they approached Alpha 9, the planet revealed itself. Not barren, as scans had suggested, but shimmering. Its surface pulsed with strange light patterns, like liquid metal flowing over mountains and valleys. It was mesmerizing and terrifying. "Captain, this isn't natural," said Lieutenant Cato. "These patterns, they're moving intentionally. Something is alive there." Before Elena could respond, the comm system crackled. A voice, distorted and frantic, echoed through the shuttle. "Help us." "The Alphas, they're not what they seem." The transmission cut off. Static filled the cabin. The team exchanged nervous glances. "Who was that?" Mara asked. "No one knows," Elena replied, her voice steady. "But we need to find out." The shuttle landed on a flat plateau, the metallic light of Alpha 9 reflecting in the team's helmets. The ground felt alive beneath their feet, almost pulsing in rhythm with their own heartbeats. "Stay close," Elena warned. "Sensors are unreliable here. We don't know what's beneath us or around us." The team moved cautiously, the light patterns shifting as if watching their every step. Suddenly, the air shimmered and a figure appeared ahead. It was tall, humanoid, but its skin reflected the same metallic patterns as the planet. Its eyes glowed softly. "Do not be afraid," the figure said in a calm, melodic voice. "We are the Alphas. You should not be here." Elena stepped forward. "We are explorers. We mean no harm. But we received a distress signal. Someone called for help. Do you know anything about it?" The Alpha remained silent for a long moment, its glowing eyes scanning each human. Finally, it spoke. "Humans, your presence is dangerous. You seek to destroy what you do not understand." "Destroy? We are not here to fight," Elena said. "We just want to understand. Tell us what's happening." The Alpha's form shimmered, almost blending into the ground. "The war you bring, it is already coming. You will not survive unless you leave. Your kind does not understand the cost." Before anyone could respond, the shuttle's sensors screamed. A massive fleet of human warships appeared in orbit, tens of vessels ready for combat. They had received the same reports and were prepared to eliminate anything that might threaten humanity. "Captain, the fleet, they're moving to attack," Mara shouted. Elena's heart sank. "They don't know. They have no idea what's here." The Alpha raised a hand, and the ground pulsed violently. The fleet's sensors went haywire. Ships blinked in and out of existence, communication cut off, engines failing without explanation. Panic erupted in orbit. "This is impossible," shouted Lieutenant Cato. "Ships are disappearing. Leave immediately," the Alpha said softly, "or you will learn the cost." Elena made a choice. She turned to her team. We stay. We find out what the Alphas are and why they sent a call for help. But we stay cautious. Everyone remember, intelligence first, aggression second. The Alpha's eyes glow brighter. Curiosity, a dangerous trait in your species. As the humans explored further, they discovered vast cities embedded into the planet itself. Structures that moved subtly, as if breathing. Strange devices emitted pulses of energy that bent reality around them. The Alphas did not just live. They controlled their environment in ways humans could barely comprehend. Suddenly, a loud crack shook the ground. A tunnel opened beneath them, revealing a deep chasm filled with flowing light. The team stared, speechless. What is this place? Mara whispered. The Alpha Core, the Alpha replied. It is the heart of our existence. It watches, it learns, it protects. It does not forgive intrusion. Elena stepped closer, her curiosity overpowering fear. We only want knowledge, nothing more. Knowledge can be deadly, the Alpha said, especially when your kind carries weapons before understanding. You will see the cost of ignorance soon. At that moment, the ground beneath them vibrated violently. A low hum filled the air, resonating with every cell in their bodies. Light shot up from the chasm, stretching toward orbit, striking human warships with energy that twisted metal and reality itself. Get back! Everyone fall back! Elena yelled. The team ran, but the energy pulses seemed alive, weaving around them, guiding them out yet warning them. When they finally reached the shuttle, the scene in orbit was chaos. Ships had disappeared entirely, leaving only silence and faint energy echoes. The Alpha hovered near the shuttle. This is a warning, not an attack. Leave now. Do not return until you are ready to understand. Elena nodded, her mind racing. We'll leave, but humanity must know what we found. Some truths are not ready for your kind, the Alpha replied. You may carry the knowledge, but understanding is another matter. As the Aurora lifted off, Elena stared back at the planet. Alpha 9 shimmered, alive and knowing, almost laughing at the human fleet that had dared challenge it. The warships in orbit would return, but not yet. The galaxy had just witnessed the beginning of something far greater than any human battle. And somewhere deep in the void, the real call for help remained unanswered. The humans had heard it, but did they understand? Only time and courage would reveal the true cost of curiosity. The Aurora had barely cleared the atmosphere of Alpha 9 when the vigilant sensors lit up with panic. Commander Elena Rivas and her team stared at the holographic displays, unable to believe what they were seeing. Captain, ships are disappearing, Lieutenant Cato said, his voice trembling. Entire squadrons gone. One moment they're in orbit, the next, nothing. No debris, no signal, nothing. Elena clenched her fists. This isn't just an anomaly. The Alphas, they're manipulating something beyond our understanding. Behind her, Ensign Mara pressed her hand to her helmet, eyes wide. It's like reality itself is folding. Ships blink out, then the space around them changes. I can't explain it. The fleet was only halfway to the system, and chaos spread like wildfire. Communications from command were frantic, orders overlapping each other. Some humans demanded immediate attack, others suggested retreat. But Elena knew one truth that no one else seemed to see. Rushing in would be suicide. Status report, she barked. Sensor systems are unreliable. Communications are scrambled. The Alpha, it's not just in the system. It's affecting the fabric of space itself. Cato replied. Elena leaned closer to the console, studying the energy readings. Pulses flowed like veins across the system, connecting planets, moons, and the fleet itself. It was alive. It was intelligent. Meanwhile, on the bridge of the fleet's command ship, Admiral Graves slammed his fist against the control panel. These Alphas won't submit. Prepare the main weapons. Fire on all visible targets. A sudden tremor shook the command deck. Crewmen fell to the floor as alarms blared. Outside the viewports, the stars seemed to stretch, bend, and twist. A fleet of human warships blinked out one by one, as if erased by an unseen hand. What the hell is happening? Shouted Graves. This is impossible. These are human ships. It's not human. Elena whispered, more to herself than anyone else. Her mind raced. They warned us. They told us the cost. And we didn't listen. The aurora trembled violently. Lights flickered. Through the chaos, a soft, melodic voice filled the cabin. You see what ignorance brings, said the Alpha. Its form shimmered on the view screen, appearing more solid than before. Your kind carries destruction before understanding. This will not end as you expect. Elena's eyes narrowed. We are explorers. We do not come with war. Yet war follows you, the Alpha replied, voice echoing across space. Because your fear of the unknown blinds you. Your fleet moves without knowledge, and that is the greatest threat of all. In orbit above Alpha 9, a warship blinked out in a flash of light, leaving a void where it had been. Another followed. Crew members screamed. Systems failed. The human fleet was crumbling. On the Vigilant, Elena knew they had no choice but to act. We need to contact command. We need them to stop firing. Impossible, Cato said, voice shaking. Every comm channel is blocked or twisted. Even our encrypted links can't reach them. The Alphas, they control information, energy, even reality itself. Suddenly, a transmission appeared, but not from command. It was a distorted, urgent voice calling out in human tones. Leave now. Do not fight them, or everything you know will vanish. The team froze. Elena recognized the voice. It was Captain Tyrell, leader of the first human squadron that had gone missing near Alpha 9. He should have been dead, yet here he was, warning them. How is this possible? Mara whispered. The Alphas, they manipulate more than space, Elena realized. They manipulate time, perception, perhaps even consciousness. Tyrell's message. It's a fragment of reality, a warning left for us to hear. Elena made a decision. We can't stay here. We need to survive. But we also need to understand. Cato, record everything. Every pulse, every shimmer. We are the witnesses. The Alpha's image appeared on their monitors again, larger now, almost tangible. Its eyes glowed like twin stars. You seek knowledge, it said, but you are not prepared for its cost. Observe, but do not touch. Learn, but do not interfere, or your species will pay. Elena's hand hovered over the console. We want peace. We want understanding. We don't want war. Peace requires wisdom, the Alpha said. And wisdom is earned through sacrifice. The Vigilant hovered above the Alpha core, the heart of the planet throbbing with life. Streams of energy extended like roots into space, pulsing, twisting, and bending. The humans felt it in their bones. Reality was malleable here, fluid and unpredictable. A wrong step could erase them entirely. Then it happened. A sudden wave of energy surged from the planet, engulfing a nearby fleet ship. It didn't explode in fire or debris. Instead, it simply vanished. Every crew member, every piece of machinery, gone. The only trace left was a faint ripple in space, like a stone tossed in a pond. Mara gasped. It's rewriting space itself. They're not attacking, they're defending reality. Elena's mind raced. This isn't aggression. It's a warning. They're showing us the consequences of interference. And then, more shocking still, the Alpha spoke. Humans call themselves advanced, yet they wield weapons blindly. They act before they understand. You will see the cost of such arrogance. From the heart of Alpha 9, beams of energy reached out, scanning the fleet. Some ships blinked out immediately. Others twisted, folded, and reappeared in strange, impossible orientations. Gravity seemed to fluctuate. Time itself appeared distorted for those inside. The fleet was losing cohesion, losing hope. Admiral Graves' voice came through the comm, strained and terrified. Withdraw. Withdraw immediately. We cannot fight them. They are impossible. Elena nodded. They are not impossible. They are beyond us. Right now, survival is our only choice. She turned to her team. We will retreat, but we will not run blindly. We record everything, every pulse, every anomaly. Humanity needs to know what we discovered. The fleet may never return, but knowledge will survive. The team worked quickly, gathering data, recording the planet's strange energy flows and the Alpha's movements. Each second brought new marvels, Structures folding like paper, lights bending around nothing, shadows moving against physics itself. You're not just a species, Mara said, voice trembling. You're reality itself. Be careful, Elena warned. Admiration can turn into arrogance. We must remain observers, not invaders. Suddenly, a fragment of a human ship appeared nearby, almost like a ghost. Inside, Captain Tyrell's voice came again, faint but clear. Do not attack. Learn. Survive. That is all we can do. Elena swallowed hard. He's warning us. Even in fragments, he knows the danger. Cato added, It's unique. I've never seen anything like this. The alphas are... Be careful, Elena warned. Admiration can turn into arrogance. We must remain observers, not invaders. Suddenly, a fragment of human ship appeared nearby, almost like a ghost. Inside, Captain Tyrell's voice came again, faint but clear. Do not attack. Learn. Survive. That is all we can do. Elena swallowed hard. He's warning us. Even in fragments, he knows the danger. Cato added, It's unique. I've never seen anything like this. The alphas are alive in a way we cannot comprehend. They don't just exist, they perceive, they react, they protect. The alpha's image appeared one final time on the monitor before they left orbit. Its form shimmered, flickered, and then solidified one last moment. Humans will return. They always return. But next time, they will face what they cannot imagine. Remember this warning, and remember your place. The Aurora lifted off, engines straining against the strange gravitational pulses. As they moved away, Alpha 9 seemed to watch them, alive in every pulse, every shimmer, every flicker of light. The fleet behind them was scattered, crippled, and terrified. Humanity had seen a threat beyond comprehension. Elena took a deep breath, gripping the console. We survived, barely. But what we witnessed will change everything. The Alphas are not enemies, not yet, but they are not to be trifled with. Mara shivered. Do you think they'll attack us if we return? Elena shook her head slowly. No, not attack. They warned us. They're teaching us a lesson we may not understand for decades. And if we fail to learn it, she didn't finish. Words could not capture the scope of the Alpha's power. But the fear, the awe, and the realization of humanity's fragility hung heavy in the air. As the Vigilant and Aurora exited the Alpha system, Elena stared at the glowing pulse of the planet behind them. The threat had been revealed, not as war, not as conquest, but as a test. Humanity had glimpsed a force beyond imagination, and the question remained, would they be ready when the lesson continued? The human fleet was in disarray. Ships blinked in and out of existence, engines sputtering as Alpha 9's invisible defenses twisted reality around them. Commander Elena Rivas gripped the edge of the Vigilant's bridge console, her knuckles white. The pulse of the planet reached even here, in deep space, like a heartbeat that refused to be ignored. Admiral Graves' voice cut through the comms, raw with fear. Fall back. Retreat immediately. We are losing ships faster than we can replace them. Elena shook her head. Retreat won't help. The Alphas don't just defend, they control reality itself. Running blind will only scatter us further. Lieutenant Cato stared at the sensors, eyes wide. It's almost playful. They let some ships approach, then erase them like toys or warnings. Ensign Mara swallowed hard. I've never felt fear like this, and awe. They're not attacking. They're teaching us the cost of arrogance. But humans were not patient. Admiral Graves, desperate to maintain authority, ordered the main fleet to fire. Lasers, missiles, and plasma barges streaked toward the Alpha system. The response was instantaneous. The first volley of weapons never reached their targets. Missiles twisted in mid-flight, bent back toward their launch points, or simply dissolved into nothing. Ships that fired were distorted as if reality had taken them in, examined them, and rejected them. Elena realized with a sinking heart that they don't fight like we do, they fight by controlling the battlefield itself. This isn't war. It's survival against a force we cannot see. Then the first human ship disappeared. Not exploded. Not damaged. Simply gone. Crew members vanished, leaving consoles blinking with empty air. Panic erupted across the fleet. Admiral Graves roared, but his orders no longer mattered. The Alpha controlled the field. One by one, the ships faltered, twisted, or blinked away. The very laws of physics seemed to obey the planet. Inside the Vigilant, Elena gathered her team. We stay together. We observe, record, survive. Do not engage unless we must. Mara shook her head. We're witnessing the impossible. I can feel space bending around us. Time is not constant here. Cato added, even the light from distant stars flickers strangely. The Alphas manipulate everything. Energy, space, perception. Our fleet, we can't beat this. Suddenly, a holographic image appeared on their view screen. The Alpha, it shimmered, its form expanding and contracting like a living nebula. You persist, it said, voice calm but firm. Yet, your fleet does not understand the cost of interference. Observe but do not touch, or all you know will vanish. Elena swallowed hard. We only seek understanding, not war. War comes to those who wield weapons blindly, the Alpha replied. Humans are hunters first, learners last. Observe, and learn before the next lesson begins. Then, from the heart of Alpha 9, a pulse of energy radiated outward, twisting the fleet like strands of wire. Ships vanished or reappeared inverted. Engines failing, gravity reversed. Crews screamed as time dilated for some and slowed for others. Chaos ruled. Even the largest battleships could not withstand the Alpha's will. One flagship blinked into existence in a different sector, alone, disoriented, and orbiting a dead star. Systems failed. Sensors overloaded. Survivors only survive if they understand, the Alpha said. Human arrogance is a true enemy. The humans realized a fight was no longer conventional. There was no front line, no weapons that could reach their enemy. Every attempt to attack was countered by impossible manipulation of space and energy. Every crew member feared the next blink. Whether they would exist a second later was uncertain. Elena realized a truth no one else could see. This is not a war of weapons. This is a war of understanding. If we fail to comprehend, we die. Cato's hands flew over the console. I can't. It's bending everything. Navigation, sensors, even the communications we use to speak to each other. How do you fight something that rewrites reality? Mara whispered, almost to herself, maybe you don't fight it. Maybe you survive by respecting it, by understanding it. Elena nodded. Exactly. And that's what we need to do. We cannot rely on brute force. We record, we retreat strategically, we learn. That is our only chance. But survival required courage. The fleet's remaining ships were scattered. The warships that had survived barely functioned. Yet Elena and her team pressed on, using the Vigilant shields and clever maneuvers to navigate the twisted space around Alpha 9. Suddenly, the Alpha appeared physically in space, its form immense, almost galaxy-sized, pulsing with energy. Humanity thinks it can conquer. It cannot. It will not observe and understand or cease to exist. One of the fleet's ships, blinded by fear and desperation, fired a barrage directly at the Alpha's form. The result was instantaneous. Reality warped around the ship. It blinked out of existence, leaving nothing behind. The humans watched in horror. Do you see now? The Alpha said, its voice echoing in the void. Your weapons are meaningless. Your fleet's fragile. You are children playing with fire in a storm you do not understand. Elena's hands clenched. She understood then why the Alpha had sent the original warning. This was not a species to attack. This was a force of nature, of consciousness, beyond comprehension. We need to survive to tell humanity what happened, she whispered. We need to record everything. If we die, it must not be forgotten. Cato nodded, scanning the twisted data streams. I've never seen anything like this. Ships blink out, signals bend, even space itself seems alive. The Alphas aren't just offending, they're enforcing reality itself. Meanwhile, Mara looked at the data. It's beautiful in a terrifying way. It's like watching the universe itself think. As the human fleet struggled, a fragment of communication reached Elena, distorted but urgent. Commander, survive. Observe. Report. Humanity must understand. It was from Captain Tyrell, who had vanished during the first encounter. His message was fragmented, almost a ghost of reality itself, warning them and guiding them simultaneously. Elena nodded. We follow the warning. No attacks, no aggression. Survival and knowledge are our weapons now. The Alpha's final lesson came as a pulse, not aimed to destroy but to teach. The remaining ships were transported to safe positions outside the immediate chaos. The fleet preserved only to learn. You will return, the Alpha said, and when you do, you will remember this lesson. War without understanding brings only ruin. The humans, battered and terrified, drifted silently. Elena looked back at the planet shimmering in space, alive, watching, calculating. The Alpha had not lost a single pulse. It had only shown the cost of interference. Elena turned to her team. We survive. We record. We report. But next time, if humanity returns unprepared, this war will not be a lesson. It will be extinction. As the fleet slowly regrouped, a strange quiet settled over them. The battle had ended, not with victory, but with understanding. Humanity had glimpsed the power of the Alphas and the cost of arrogance. Yet, in the darkness beyond Alpha 9, unseen and unmeasured, the Alphas watched. The lesson had begun, and the next chapter, Elena knew, would demand courage, intelligence, and respect, or would demand everything. The war had been unleashed, but it was not a war humans could control. The Alphas had shown their true power, not as conquerors, but as keepers of reality itself. And humanity was only beginning to understand. The remnants of the human fleet drifted in space, battered, silent, and humbled. Commander Elena Rivas sat on the bridge of the Vigilant, staring at the fading glow of Alpha 9. The planet pulsed like a living heart, its energy flowing outward in ripples that seemed to touch everything in the nearby systems. We survived, Mara whispered, almost in disbelief. But what did we learn? Elena's eyes did not leave the planet. Survival isn't enough. Understanding is the cost. And we've only glimpsed the surface. Lieutenant Cato rubbed his temples. I've never seen power like that. Not even the most advanced human weapons could touch it. It's reality itself bending to their will. And they didn't even fight us. They just showed us what happens when we interfere. Elena nodded. They didn't kill us. They gave us a choice. But the fleet, it's broken. Humanity must understand what they are facing. We cannot underestimate the Alphas again. In orbit, the Vigilant sent encrypted messages back to Earth Command, relaying everything. The pulses, the vanishing ships, the Alpha's warnings. But as the transmissions traveled, a strange phenomenon occurred. Parts of the messages twisted, words changing subtly, data streams reshaping themselves. The Alphas had not only controlled space, they had begun influencing information. Captain, Cato said, his voice low, our reports, they're changing. Some readings are different from what we recorded. It's as if the planet itself decides what humans can know. Elena's eyes narrowed. Then what we record must be shared carefully. Humanity may not be ready for the full truth. But one thing is certain, we cannot return unprepared. If we do, Alpha 9 will not just offend, it will erase. Suddenly, the Vigilant sensors detected movement. Not enemy ships, not anomalies, but Alpha 9 itself. A massive energy pulse expanded from the planet, extending into space like a net, connecting with the remaining human ships. Mara swallowed hard. It's communicating. Not with words, but with energy, with patterns. I can feel it in my mind. They're showing us their perspective. The holographic monitors flickered, revealing the Alpha in its full form, a vast, shimmering entity, its energy spanning kilometers, yet precise, intelligent, aware. You have seen the consequences of ignorance, it said, voice calm, melodic, yet resonant with power. Humanity wields destruction before comprehension. You must choose, learn or be lost. Elena stepped forward, determination etched on her face. We choose to learn. We came as explorers. We will leave as witnesses. The Alpha's form shifted, eyes like twin stars focusing on the humans. Very well. Knowledge comes at a cost. You will understand the true fragility of your existence. A sudden vision overwhelmed Elena's mind. She saw the human fleet before Alpha 9 scattered, dissolving into nothing. She saw Earth, its cities glowing, unaware. She saw timelines bending, civilizations erased, stars dying prematurely. And through it all, the Alphas moved like gardeners, trimming, shaping, protecting their domain. Mara cried out, overwhelmed by the visions. It's beautiful and terrifying. They're not cruel, they're guardians. Cato whispered, voice shaking. Guardians controlling reality to prevent chaos. And humans, we almost destroyed ourselves just by being ignorant. Elena knew what had to be done. We survived to tell the story. Humanity must know, must respect, before it acts. We cannot allow arrogance to lead to extinction. As the fleet prepared to depart, Alpha 9 pulsed one final time. Ships felt weightless, as if moving through water, yet guided. No one was harmed. Yet every crew member sensed the gravity of the lesson. You carry knowledge, the Alpha said, but understanding is earned. Return to your people. Warn them. Prepare them. Or one day, your curiosity will not be enough to save you. The Vigilant lifted off, engines straining against the pulses. As the planet receded behind them, Elena and her team looked at each other, knowing that nothing in the galaxy would ever feel the same. Hours later, when the fleet had cleared Alpha 9 system, the crew gathered in silence. The ships were battered, some barely functioning. They had survived a power far beyond human imagination, but the cost of understanding had already begun. Elena turned to Mara. Do you understand what we've witnessed? Mara nodded slowly. Yes, but it's more than understanding. It's humility. We are not the most powerful. We are not even close. And the Alphas are beyond power. They're beyond war. They exist on a scale we cannot fight. Cato added, and yet they let us live. That's the lesson. Knowledge, caution, respect. That is the path we must follow, or we will not survive the next encounter. The communications officer interrupted, voice trembling. Captain, Earth Command want a full report immediately. They don't understand what we faced. They'll send another fleet. They won't listen. Elena clenched her jaw. Then we must be the ones to teach them, not with weapons, but with the truth. If humanity returns unprepared, we will not survive, and the Alphas will not warn twice. In the weeks that followed, the survivors returned to human space. Their stories were incredible. Ships vanishing, reality bending, the pulse of Alpha 9 controlling everything. Many dismissed it as impossible. Others were terrified. Only Elena and her crew knew the full truth. But even as they debriefed, strange patterns appeared in the data they had recorded. Some information had been subtly altered. Readings changed. Images shifted. The Alphas were not only controlling space, they were controlling perception. Humanity might see the story differently than what had truly happened. Elena realized the final cost of understanding. Knowledge came with responsibility. Humanity could no longer act blindly. Their next choices would determine whether they survived or disappeared entirely. Late one night, in her quarters, Elena gazed at the stars. Alpha 9 pulsed faintly, a distant heartbeat in the darkness. She could still feel the lessons, still hear the warning. Curiosity without caution leads to destruction. Somewhere deep in the galaxy, the Alphas observe humanity, not with malice, but with patience. The lesson had begun. And in time, if humans were wise, they might finally understand. But the galaxy would never be the same. The name Alpha was no longer just a planet, a species, or a system. It was a warning, a standard, a measure of reality itself. Elena whispered to herself, we called them Alpha until we saw what it truly means to be powerful, beyond understanding, beyond war. And now we carry the cost of knowing. As the fleet moved toward human space, the survivors shared fragments of their experience. Fear, awe, and wonder spread. Humanity had glimpsed a power far beyond its imagination, and somewhere the Alphas waited, watching, judging, ensuring that the lesson was never forgotten. The cost of understanding was clear. Knowledge alone could not save them. Respect, humility, and patience were the only shields against a force that existed beyond war, beyond time, and beyond comprehension. And for the first time in centuries, humanity understood that in the vastness of space, there were beings they could not conquer, forces they could not challenge, and lessons they must never forget. The war had ended. But the real battle, the battle of understanding, respect, and survival, had only just begun.